I grew up in a tough neighborhood. Sometimes reputation follows you.
Robert De Niro is Al Capone.
There is violence in Chicago, of course, but not by me and not by anybody I employ, and I'll tell you why, because it's not good business.
Kevin Costner is Elliot Ness.
I have sworn to put this man away with any and all legal means at my disposal, and I will do so.
Sean Connery is Jimmy Malone.
Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife. You pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital. You send one of his along. That's the Chicago way. You just joined the Treasury Department, son. Everybody knows where the booze is. The problem isn't finding it.
Let's do some good!
The problem is who wants to cross the pond.
Somebody messes with me, I'm gonna mess with him.
You got a badge?
Yes.
Carry a gun.
Get your hands in the air!
You're all under arrest.
You fellas are untouchable.
Is that the thing no one can get to you? Hey, everybody can be gotten to.
All right, then. Drive him to the station. Anything happens, you shoot first. You understand me?
Well, I'll tell you one more thing. You got an all-out prize fight, you wait till the fight's over, one guy's left standing, and that's how you know who won.
Just tell me, are you being careful?
Careful as mice.
I want to hurt the man, Malone. I want to start taking the battle to him. I want to hurt Capone.
This man can finger Al Capone. This man can put Capone behind bars.
Well, what's the matter? Can't you talk with a gun in your mouth?
You're not proven methods. Yeah? Well, you're not from Chicago.
I want you to find this Nancy boy Elliot Ness. I want him dead. I want his family dead.
Paramount Pictures presents a Brian De Palma film.
I have forsworn myself. I have broken every law I swore to defend. I have become what I beheld, and I am content that I have done right.
You got nothing. Nothing. And if you were a man, you would have done it now.
Never stop fighting till the fight is done.
Well, it is about time. I am finally reviewing Brian De Palma's masterpiece, The Untouchables. But I'm not sure if I like it or not. So let's find out, and I will review it after this nice sharky message.
Shark Attack. Just roll the dice, and when your color comes up, pull your fish fast. The fish that's the one will be the winner. But the winner after will be the dinner. Shark Attack. What are you gonna do? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming to get you. Take your place in the Shark Attack.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that message, and yes, this was a real game. And I do like how this cartoon shark here seemed to eat the Titanic. So much for it being unsinkable, it was also, I guess, edible as well. So obviously the shark went through the steel, so I guess the Titanic was made like a modern-day Ford vehicle. It was easy to break. So anyway, so enough of Shark Attack. That's not what I'm reviewing, but I did have the game, I enjoyed it, and I also broke it. So, so there goes that. So yes, so I am reviewing Brian De Palma's The Untouchables. And this is starring the very good actor, Robert De Niro. He plays Al Capone, and we all know him from Meet the Parents, you know what, I'm not going to say that in case I really say it by accident. So, and then there were 2 sequels that came along with that movie, along with Hands of Stone. He was also in Bang the Drum Slowly. He was also in The Score, The Intern. So he was, so obviously he's a very well-known actor. Apparently now he's being criticized for his political views, which I never understand. So, whatever. I'm not going to stop seeing a movie and with him in it just because of that. So, So anyway, so there is Robert De Niro playing Al Capone, and he is pretty much paying off the cops and anybody that would want to get him in trouble. He's pretty much buying his way to get liquor into the great crime city of Chicago. Not much has changed. So, it hasn't.
Have you been there?
No, I'm still alive. So anyway,
So am I. I've been there twice.
yes, but you don't live there. It is a very big crime city. So anyway, so moving on from Robert De Niro, there is also starring the very laughable Kevin Costner, and he somehow got the role to play Elliot Ness. In my opinion, it's a very interesting choice for this supposed real tough guy role. Apparently, from what I read, the original Elliot Ness in the TV show was played by Robert Stack. Very strict, very stern, very tough. We know him from Unsolved Mysteries and, of course, the comedy Airplane. So you can have your little comments below on that if I'm being too harsh on Kevin Costner. And we all know him from The Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, The War, The Postman, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Dances with Wolves, The War, Draft Day, Swing Vote, and Tin Cup, which I did review. So that is Elliot Ness trying to take down Al Capone. Now he does have some help. He does recruit a fellow cop, that is Jimmy Malone, played by the great late Kevin Costner, who was in Finding Forrester. I think he was in 5 or 6 Bond movies. He was in The Rock, A Hunt for Red October, Finding Forrester, Medicine Man, Never Say Never Again. So that's Kevin Costner. Oh yes, Just Cause, which is filmed in Southwest Florida. Don't recommend seeing that. So he pretty much is a good cop. He decides to join Kevin Costner in getting Capone because he took an oath, and he wants to live up to that. So good for him. So this is already going to get the people of Reddit mad because this is pretty much showing that law enforcement is dirty, and they don't want to believe that. So the other character that is introduced is played by Charles Martin Smith, who is the accountant, and he actually has a very important part because they couldn't really prove that Capone did any killing or anything else dirty except for tax evasion. So this is what they're going to get him on. So he does play an important role. I know he's dorky and geeky, but he plays an important part. He was in the 2 American Graffiti movies, and he was also in I Love Trouble. So now we also have Andy Garcia, who does join. He is a prodigy in the police department, and they end up getting him from the bottom of the barrel. They want to get a fresh cop that is not corrupt yet. So Andy Garcia was in Internal Affairs, and I believe he was in The Godfather Part 3. So I honestly have not seen him in many movies, but he is a very beloved actor. So now with all that being said, this is during the Prohibition era. So obviously I just told how Elliot Ness and his companions are going to take him down. Elliot Ness is an alcohol agent, and he's part of the Treasury Department. So he thinks that the cops are going to be on his side, and he is in a rude awakening because they are not. So he has to go through all these other obstacles to get Al Capone. Now, if you go after somebody with money and power, this is going to get the Reddit people and comic book people angry too. People aren't going to be happy about it. They are going to come after you. It is not that easy, and you will see that in this movie. So I will show the first clip as we are going to get it off to a bang. Ooh, that hurts. Well, so this is the beginning scene here. This is pretty much they were trying to get alcohol into this place, and the owner of this facility said no. So what happens is the guy in the white suit drops off a briefcase if he did say no. And obviously he runs out. And the little girl tries to give him his briefcase. And now the good thing is here the place is saved, but she obviously is not. She took quite a blast. So now you got some sad parents, and now Elliot Ness, they show him in his kitchen with a really goofy haircut, pretty much sobbing over the paper. And I did not laugh at the situation, but did I laugh at Kevin Costner? Oh, absolutely. So, speaking of laughter, he does go on his first liquor raid, and this is the Treasury Department agent that he doesn't sound very forceful when he comes in. I actually laughed at him the first time I saw this movie. So if you want, you can comment saying I'm being way too hard on good old Kevin here, or you could agree, or just tell me to shut up. Whatever you want to do. So I will show that scene in just a second. Well, this is the liquor raid gone wrong. I did find this quite funny. Right before this, he says, let's do some good, but we show them in the trailer, so I didn't have to show it. But anyways, this part is much better when he just bangs the door down and says federal agents. And he says it in such a way where, yes, I'm sorry, I did laugh at him. So not only that, I couldn't help myself but also laugh when it went wrong. I did enjoy him going through all that work to break open the crate and to pull out a nice shiny green umbrella. So somebody on the police force ended up telling Capone about this, so they pulled the liquor out and they put the liquor somewhere else. So now I will show the next clip of Capone pretty much smiling at the newspaper and laughing at Elliot Ness here with his busted operation and also probably his acting ability. Hey, Rascal. So Rascal is now in the video and he's trying to get in again. So I will show the next clip in just a second. I know, you want to see it too, don't you? Well, 1-0 Al Capone. So far, the movie does have a nice flow to it. It has a nice story, and Brian De Palma actually did a decent job. He also did direct Mission Impossible, Mission to Mars, and also Snake Eyes. So far, out of those movies, I know I'm only at the beginning here. I do so far like this one the best. So Al Capone is obviously smiling at the paper in this scene. So now I will show the next clip here of where we do meet Jim Malone, played by Sean Connery. And he pretty much gives Elliot Ness the lowdown on the wonderful, honest Chicago cops.
Warned you about your raid,
Somebody on the docks told you.
right? Welcome to Chicago. This town stinks like a whorehouse at low tide. Now the first thing is, who can you trust?
Well, this is him pretty much saying how the cops are very, very corrupt, and they pretty much that nobody wants Elliot Ness there. I can imagine Sean Connery probably didn't want Kevin Costner to play Elliot Ness as well. Okay, fine, I'll be nice. He was very excited about that. So, anyways, so this is the scene here. So he pretty much says he can't trust anybody, and I'm already laughing at him on the TV when it's paused. So I will show the next clip here. We are going to meet Andy Garcia, who plays George Stone, and he actually did say behind the scenes that Sean Connery did yell at him a couple times for overacting and said this isn't Hamlet. I read that and I did laugh. So I will show the scene where we do meet George Stone, and I will show you that in just a second.
Said that you're a lying member of a no-good race.
Much better than you stinking Irish pig.
Well, this is George Stone, and so far, I have to say I do kind of like that kind of part. How he just goes right after Sean Connery after he insults him. The guy that they recruited before this gave a textbook answer and started over his words, and they knew right away they did not want that guy. They were looking for somebody that had the best shots. They were in a rifle range, so. This guy, they called him a prodigy, so they knew right away this is the guy they wanted, but now we want to see how he reacts. And that's what he did. He pretty much went after Jimmy Malone there. So they pretty much knew he was going to do whatever it takes to get these bad guys. I don't know if he knows what kind of danger they are in, just after going after the most powerful person in Chicago. So we will go to their first successful liquor raid, and I will show you that in just a second because oh no, that's right, I'm sorry. We have to meet the accountant first, and then I'll show you the liquor raid after that. It's coming up. So I will show you that right now.
It's very interesting. I found a financial disbursement pattern here which shows some irregular.
Well, this is the accountant. He is played by Charles Martin Smith. And his name in this is Oscar Wallace. And I know he doesn't look like much, but he plays a very important part in this. He pretty much watches the books and watch Al Capone's activity and sees how much he makes and notice he doesn't pay taxes on any of it. So then later on, this is what they decided to go after him on. But first, they are going to go on their first successful liquor raid. And wait till you see where it's at. So I will show you that in just a second.
Here? Mr. Nash, everybody knows where the booze is. The problem isn't finding it. The problem is who wants to cross the pond. Let's go.
Officers,
Get your hands in the air! Nobody move!
this is a raid.
Well, this is the first successful liquor raid, and why not have it be at the post office? So this is what happens when I get an eBay package. The package goes in, and there's just a whole thing of booze right in the back being delivered. I'm sure that's how the post office works. Well, I actually thought that was funny, that's where it actually was at the post office. I think I guessed that when I first saw the movie. I said, would that be funny if the booze was stored at the post office? It always seems like there's always some weird or some funny thing happening there at the post office, like the postal workers with the guns. So yeah, there's like a whole joke with that. So this is the scene here. So they do eventually get these bad guys with the booze, and I'm sure Al Capone is very forgiving. It's just one incident. I'm sure he'll let it slide. Well, let's see what his reaction is in the next clip. I'm sure he really loves the situation. I'm sure it doesn't bother him at all. Well, I really hope that the Food Critic Report of the Week did not review his restaurant, or this might happen to him. So this is pretty much what will happen if Al Capone, if he does get in trouble, he will just off one of his guys with a baseball bat, which is very unnecessary. Now, I'm not sure if this is the guy that ratted him out to Jimmy Malone, or if Al Capone just had a bad day because his liquor got caught, or I don't know, or somebody gave him a bad review with this stupid restaurant. So now already this is probably scaring movie reviewer Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman, because he took a baseball bat to hit the guy. I don't know why he just didn't use a hardcover Power Rangers comic book. That would have worked out the same. Why did he have to ruin a baseball bat? So, anyway, so this is what happens.
I like how that's your concern about this.
Yeah. It's a very big concern. So anyways, so now we are kind of getting into, they also couldn't buy the cops either. He did send somebody to try to buy them out to have them stop, and they did not take the money. So Elliot Ness is now about to get threatened by one of Capone's goons. His name is Nitty, and he is played by the late Billy Drago. So you will see him in just a second.
Nice house. You live there? Little girl's having a birthday, huh? Sure. Nice to have a family. Man should take care. See that nothing happens to you.
Well, like I said, this is going to be, you go after somebody with power, and you are going to get threatened. And this is Nitty threatening him. If you are a Charmed fan, which this is YouTube, so it is very possible. So it's this is one of the demons, apparently. This is Billy Drago that played in Charmed.
Demon of Fear.
Yeah, okay, so there we go. So he was in Charmed, so I guess maybe Alyssa Milano put him up to this mischief behavior, since we all know she likes to cause problems. Was she on the set of this and just kind of said, kill Elliot Ness and his family? I wouldn't put it past her.
You're so mean.
So now I will show, I'm only going to show a few more clips because I really don't want to give too much away. A lot does go on, and so far I have to say this movie is pretty enjoyable. I do question a couple of the parts in this, but other than that, so far it's a very enjoyable movie. So now I will show the part on the Canadian border, which, yes, this is based on true events, but this did not happen in real life. So I will show you that in just a second. Oh, this part actually was pretty cool. So what they had to do was they found out that this shipment was coming from Canada, so they went right to the Canadian border. So yes, they did take an airplane, and back in those days, I'm telling you, it was probably much more comfortable to fly on an airplane because not many people did it. So they had the luxury of doing that. So they flew probably to Michigan because I think that was the closest Canadian border, I think, to go to. So that is my guess. That's where they ended up flying to. So obviously they go and they stop. This is actually a really cool scene, but again, we have a 6-second limit, so we couldn't show much of it. And not only is this scene cool, but the music is really good too. The soundtrack to this is really, really outstanding. So this is one of my favorite scenes of the movie here. You got the Mounties. Yes, those are Canadian Mounties. They're on horseback. They kind of jump the gun on this, so this makes the United States, this makes the Treasury Department a little bit mad because they have this whole plan. The Mounties kind of destroy it. So, but again, this scene did not really happen. So now now this obviously isn't going to make Al Capone happy that this happened. So he does end up getting some revenge here, but I'm not going to give a whole lot away. So I'm going to jump to the next scene, and this is the famous train station scene, so I will show you that in just a second. Well, so this is the train scene. So obviously, they're firing with this poor baby going down the stairs in a carriage. I guess Al Capone and his buddies there have no moral principles.
They blew up a kid.
This was actually a very long scene. I was surprised that this movie was 2 hours, but I think the scene alone took 45 minutes. It's
Sure felt like it.
We were waiting for the guns to go off, and it took a long time. So this whole scene here is the famous scene, and this was actually at the Chicago Union Center. This was actually filmed there. Most of this film was actually, believe it or not, it was filmed in Montana. I know, it's kind of a weird spot to film a movie, but that is what I read. So,
I don't understand. Why do they film movies in different cities or states when they're based on certain states and cities?
I don't know. The Natural took place in Chicago, and that movie was actually, a lot of it was filmed in Buffalo.
I don't understand, but okay.
No, well, it's. I guess it's. Maybe it has to do with cost. Maybe it. I really don't know. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I'd have to look up what the reasoning is for that. But I'm guessing some of it has to do with cost. I do like them actually filming in a real city instead of a stupid studio, which they do today. It fits the generation boring era. Is they don't like sets and they don't like this. They rather it's all computerized and all that other stuff. So yes, movies are not made like this anymore. So generation boring, I would not recommend the Untouchables to. Yes, I did jump ahead a little bit, but that's fine. So this is the last clip I'm going to show, and the reason for that is because I do not want to, if there is a few people that haven't seen this movie, I don't want to spoil it. There were some other good movies that did come out in 1987. Harry and the Hendersons did come out in 1987. And they also did a spin-off of that movie as well. It made it into a Saturday morning cartoon, or a Saturday morning show. So, with The Untouchables, if I'm going to grade this movie, which I'm going to do...
Are you doing it before or after theirs?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. Bert and Ernie have to do... They give their review first. So I'm very sorry that I insulted Bert and Ernie, but I did. So I will show them first because I think it's only fair that we watch the clowns do their review before I do mine, and then I will do the review on those reviewers. So I will show you that in just a second.
Elliot Ness and Chicago cop Sean Connery recruit two more crime busters to get Al Capone in The Untouchables, the classic crime story, now a major motion picture. I'm Gene Sisco of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. The Untouchable was inspired, of course, by the old TV show, but a real effort has been made to turn this material into an ambitious gangster film. There's a big budget, a lot of impressive locations, an authentic look of the 1930s, and a script by the distinguished playwright David Mamet. So it's too bad the result is a disappointment, a respectable film that lacks the fire, the passion, and even the humor we might expect from this material. The movie stars Robert De Niro as Al Capone in a performance that does not have the usual De Niro energy. This is a very routine Capone.
Somebody messes with me, I'm gonna mess with him. Somebody steals from me, I'm gonna say you stole, not talk to him for spitting on a sidewalk.
Kevin Costner is Elliot Ness, the man who vows to bust up Capone's mob, and Sean Connery is the honest Chicago cop who can help him do it. Together they form a strike force known as the Untouchables, federal agents at war with Capone. But first, Connery has to make sure that Ness is tough enough.
If you open the ball on these people, Mr. Nash, you must be prepared to go all the way. Because they won't give up the fight until one of you is dead.
I want to get Capone. I don't know how to get him.
Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. And that's how you get Capone.
That's a good scene, but most of the movie never really gives us a sense of the human qualities of these characters, and it ends up with the usual gangland movie gunfight. Looking movie, and a lot of effort went into it, but it has nothing new or especially interesting to say about Capone, Elliot Ness, or the whole Prohibition period. It's a curiously lifeless film. It's almost as if it were framed and put on the wall, a film in which everything looks okay, but we don't really feel very much. And that's strange because the director, Brian De Palma, usually does a much better job of shaking me up. The Untouchables, for me, was a disappointment.
And not for me at all. And I'm surprised because you say it has nothing new to say about Ness. Well, first of all, it's completely different from the Ness that we know from Robert Stack, who was this stern, tough guy. This is a young, innocent Ness who has to go through these rites of passage with his tutor, basically Sean Connery, in a sensational role. I'm so glad to see him get that kind of a part to prove that he's such a good actor. teaching this kid the ropes of how you have to sometimes break the law to get a bad guy. And that's the real moral dilemma of the film, which I find exciting, which gets into issues of capital punishment and what you have to do to get bad guys, which is the subject of even current today.
Well, I agree with you about Sean Connery, and I like his performance a whole lot. I thought the Elliot Ness character was extremely pale.
He's supposed to be in the beginning.
Well, but also in addition to that, it seemed to me that he was very passive. It seemed to me that he didn't really engage, that the lines were written in such a way as to make him seem so lifeless that we didn't really care. As he sat there as this prim straight arrow coming up with those kind of self-justifying lines.
I thought he was intentionally sweet at the beginning, and then he gets tougher and tougher and starts to hate himself. And as a routine shootout at the end, I thought the shootout at the end of this film, even though it is derivative from some classic movies, is fabulous.
It ripped off Battleship Potemkin, which I thought was hardly necessary. But what did you think about Robert De Niro? Weren't you disappointed? His role seemed to be just in a different unit than the rest of the movie. It was like they cleared the screen, De Niro came on, and then he did his thing, and then he's gone again. He didn't interact really with the rest of the film.
This movie isn't about Capone, and I'm glad it isn't about Capone. It's about Ness and this new cop, Jimmy Malone, and I thought
so. You agreed with me about De Niro. You were disappointed too.
No, I just didn't think it was important. I think he did a small role, and he did it. Nothing special.
Well, that doesn't sound like what we expect from De Niro.
Yeah, but I think the movie is sensational. Okay. Our next film, and
well, Roger Fatboy Ebert has no movie principles.
Which one was he, Bert or Ernie? He's Ernie, right?
Yeah,
Bert is the one with the...
Yeah, maybe I should have picked different characters that were not likable.
Oscar the Grouch comes to mind.
Yeah, I think Oscar the Grouch is more likable than them. At least Oscar makes me laugh. And somehow Gene Siskel liked it, and usually he's kind of a boring person, but his... I didn't think it... I did like how he called Elliot Ness sweet. I don't know why he calls him that all the time. That's kind of ridiculous. I forgot who else he called sweet. Oh yeah, Richard Simmons. He called Richard Simmons sweet too. Okay, so yeah, I definitely disagree with Roger Ebert. I don't know what he's talking about. This was a mob movie, so he was mad at the mob-like similarities to other movies. I thought this was different in some ways. I did like the whole 1930s look because I like looking at the older cars. And I did think that Kevin Costner's role was corny. I have to give him that. Even and what Gene Siskel said was a little inaccurate too, how he's sweet at the beginning. I think he's pretty much like that throughout the whole entire movie. I never take him seriously. But the other characters, however, are casted really well. Sean Connery, in my opinion, does carry this movie, not Kevin Costner. Andy Garcia's role was smaller, but it was very good. And also the accountant, I thought he played a very important part, a small role, but they never even mentioned him in their review, which I think they should have. He played an incredibly important part, now that I think of it. And that was Charles Martin Smith. And Robert De Niro did have a small role, but it was very effective. He played Al Capone. So in my review here, it was casted well. It did look really cool, too. And I thought the scenes were fine. I know the train scene was a little bit drawn out, but it was very good, and I wanted to show it for a reason. So I didn't show a lot of clips because, like I said, the 3 people that haven't seen this movie, I don't want to spoil it. I just happened to do my door-to-door job, and somebody mentioned this movie when I was talking to them about signing up to get triple pane windows. And he mentioned this movie, so I went to Walmart and I bought it. So it was in the bargain bin for everybody's information. So now to grade this movie, I would actually have to give this a B+ to an A-. This was very, very well done. The only complaints I have is Kevin Costner's weak acting abilities in this movie. The fact that they made Elliot Ness seem like kind of a flower in some ways. So it was really my only complaint, but it made me laugh when it wasn't supposed to. So do I recommend this movie? I actually highly recommend this movie. I recommend purchasing it because I don't know if it's on any streaming service at all. It might be on Paramount Plus. That is a possibility, but you might have to buy that. If it's on Prime, you probably have to rent it. So I do recommend going on eBay and spending the money, or finding it at a garage sale. One of those things, because I don't believe Walmart is selling DVDs anymore. And I know for a fact Target is not either. So I do recommend it. Again, for kids, probably not. But for adults, absolutely. So comment below, subscribe if you want, and thank you for watching.